Boulder, Colorado.
Well, we ain't thinking about the playoffs right now, right? We go one game at a time. We don't even want to be ranked. Don't rank us, please. We don't like that.
As we know, Prime asked for it, but unfortunately for him, he did not get what he wanted. The college football playoff initial ranking dropped tonight. And of course, we got to look at where the Buffs are, as well as talk a little bit about Coach Prime and his press conference right before the Texas Tech game. He had some nice things to say about the competition. So let's jump into that. He also gave some injury reports. And I think these injury reports are critical for you all to know because it could change the trajectory of this game in a very, very, very important way. So let's dive into that here on the Prime Time for college football. This video is powered by our partners at BetUS. Check them out. They are hooking up the gamer. 150% bonus on your first deposit, up to $2,000 by using promo code YouTube150. So Coach Prime jumped into a few different things in the press conference. I got to watch it earlier. Took a couple notes of things that I liked, and there's a few things that we're going to point out. The injury report, his love for Joey McGuire. But I want to open up with the most important thing I told you I was going to talk about is them rankings. Yes, it is ranking season. You know, AP dropped their rankings, and the AP rankings had Colorado sitting at 21. So they moved up 2 spots coming into the day. And then the college football playoff rankings dropped tonight. And in that ranking, Colorado comes in. Drum roll, please. Number 20. They're one right behind Kansas State, who's at 19, which makes sense. The way the committee typically does it is if you've lost to a team and you have similar records, you're most likely going to be behind them in the rankings. And so Colorado comes in right behind Kansas State, which is not a bad spot. 6-2. They're up there. They're the, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7-2 or 2 lost teams right ahead of them, including Alabama, Texas A&M, LSU, and Ole Miss, and then Kansas State or whatnot. So mainly SEC schools that beat up on each other. They give them their respect, keep them ranked higher. But Colorado's moving up. And in the initial college football playoff rankings, as far as the top 12, right now Colorado is looking like one of the first 4 teams out, mainly because BYU is up there. If it started today, they will be the ones to represent the Big 12, and they will be the only one from the Big 12 most likely in there, which we get. Totally makes sense. But I'll say this. The good thing for Colorado is that the way the season's going with BYU and playing against, beating Texas Tech this week, and in running the table for the rest of the season, they still have a very good chance of actually making it into the playoffs. So right now, we understand, there's an uphill battle, but the Buffs can live up to the challenge. Let me know what y'all think on that. Would love to hear from you all. But let's talk about the press conference, get a little details, because the injury updates to me is what jumped out. But first, a message from our sponsor over there at BetUS. They are hooking up the gamers. 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000. 125% on your second and third deposits by using promo code YouTube150. And so right now, you can see Colorado is sitting here as a 3.5-point favorite going into Lubbock. That's awesome. Being a road favorite going out there, that means a very good chance that the Buffs can go and pull out the dub. I expect for them to go over and cover it by at least 7 points, getting out there strong. But tell me what y'all think. If you want to jump on the action, BetUS is hooking you up. 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000. 125% on your second and third deposit up to $2,000 by using promo code YouTube150. BetUS, where the game begins. So from the press conference, first off, of course, Coach Prime talks up Joey McGuire, because Joey McGuire was a coach in the Dallas area. He was a head coach at Cedar Hill High School, so he's been in that area, and Joey McGuire is known there. That was one of those people where when Colorado moved back to the Big 12, and I was talking to some folks, they were wondering about the challenge of Dallas recruiting, because even though Prime has a lot of contacts there, Joey McGuire is a dude that's considered one of the best in that area. He's beloved. And even Prime talked about him. He said, I loved him ever since he was at Cedar Hill. You got to understand, man, Joey at Cedar Hill, and probably an all-ethnic team or area, he was dominant. Won state titles. Well-respected in the community, well-respected amongst his peers. He was like the grand poobah, the magna cum laude of the district coaches. That man is beloved by people in that area. And that's a good thing, and I guarantee you that Joey McGuire is going to say the same thing about Coach Prime. So we're not concerned about, any type of shade or anything. Right now, the Buffs have done everything they need to do to earn the respect within that conference, moving up to second in the polling. And so, yeah, I expect Joey McGuire I haven't watched his presser. I'm going to go watch that one, but I bet you he's got some nice things to say. But Prime also dove into practices. He talked about Travis Hunter and how great Travis Hunter represented himself over there at Big Noon Kickoff up there at State College. Yeah, right now, Travis Hunter's on the campaign trail for that Heisman. And so he's a very likable guy. And if he continues to show out on the field, the expectation is he'll end up in New York. So I'm thinking he's probably going to be on that final ballot. He'll be in New York. The question is if he puts up the numbers and do the continued excellence to win the Heisman. I hope he does. That does nothing but add a nice feather to the cap for this campaign here at Colorado and what Coach Prime's trying to do. So get yourself excited. But on the injury side of things, Coach Prime talked about some players on the defensive line that jumped out to me. And this is the ones that I think can alter some things. You got Deion Hayes, Tyron Carter, as well as Shane Coates. So Carter's out for the year is what he said. We saw the tweet go out there about that. He said Coates is going to be up in the air, whether he can contribute or not. Deion Edge is not going to play in the game, and then Carter is done for the season. And those three players were pretty big for Colorado this season, and it sucks to hear that you're losing, Carter for the entire season. He was a really solid contributor on the defensive line, and so now you got to, pull out some young players. The good thing is you've got some guys that can come in with enough experience to ball out. A lot of transfers that came in, some older guys as well as potentially some of the young ones. But I don't think that that's going to be as bad. We just got to see what it looks like, what the performance looks like on the field. That's why I always have questions in that capacity. Is nothing against them. You want to see what these players can do as far as performance goes. So, little challenge in there, but we know Travis Hunter's back. You're going to have, the secondary and everything's going to be solid, which is balled out. The big thing is playing against a team like Texas Tech, the big thing that they do, they're going to run down your throat. Now, granted, what we have seen from Texas Tech, whenever they don't have the time of possession is when they play their best. So they're not running a lot of clock. Taj Brooks is one of the best running backs in the country. You're seeing that they're actually passing the ball a lot more with Morton. And so that's the one thing I think Colorado's going to have the advantage on, is that the secondary for the Buffs is one of the best out there. They've been balling out the last few games. And so we'll break down Tech. We'll talk with some experts, get their thoughts. Let me know what y'all think. Hop in these comments. How do y'all feel about the Buffs being number 20? How do you feel about the Buffs preparing for the trip to Lubbock, Texas, going back to old school Big 12 days? And do you think the Buffs can go ahead and cover that spread at 3.5? We definitely want to hear from you all. This video is powered by our partners at BetUS. Check them out. They are hooking up the gamer. 150% bonus on your first deposit, up to $2,000 by using promo code YouTube150. We'll have some more coverage coming out throughout the week. We'll look at the comparisons and everything going up to the game. But yeah, let us know your thoughts, and we'll chop it up soon.